Today we have something special in store on the channel, and it's something that I've wanted to do for a little while now. One of my students is the owner of a beautiful Martin 00028M limited edition Eric Clapton model guitar. And the specs, while not exactly the same, are very similar, and the guitar plays very similarly to my Eastman E20OM, which I've had for a number of years now. We're going to compare these two guitars to one another in a pretty A-B back and forth kind of comparison sort of way. I've wanted to do this for quite a while now, and it's finally happening. So let's dive on in. I just want to preface this video, as I've done a lot of these shootouts on the channel, and it's always funny to me how many people get really up in arms defending Martin, over Eastman. Due to the nature of the Martin being, a historic brand and being made in the US, whereas Eastman is made offshores in Beijing, China, albeit with a master luthier and with incredible quality control and incredibly quality tone woods and materials. But I do want to say the purpose of these videos is not to directly attack Martin in any way. It's just to kind of see how, for my own personal entertainment more than anything else, what kind of guitar you can get for a more value-based budget. I'm a full-time guitar teacher, and I've taught almost 2,000 students in the last 10 years. And so that's a huge concern for a lot of guitar students getting started, is the expense of a decent, acoustic guitar. And so Eastman has, as a brand, kind of done a really awesome job keeping things affordable in a way that competes with a lot of higher end price USA products. And in my book, that is a win. Just because, as your starting guitar, if you can get into a better playing and quality controlled piece than spending a whole bunch of money getting started, I think it's a huge asset as a new guitar player. Now, some of the important differences between these two guitars, because I know too a bunch of the people in the comments are going to jump out and say, hey, this isn't the exactly same wood type, and all this. And I totally agree. That's true. These aren't exact specs of each other, but they're very similar. Both are 000 size. The Martin has a very different style neck. It's a very sculpted V kind of taper to it, as with the Eastman, it's a traditional C. In my hands, I've got pretty stocky fingers. The Eastman, and obviously too, it's my guitar, so I'm a little bit biased. But the Eastman is much more comfortable. Ironically, my student, Ray, who is the owner of many of these guitars on the channel that I shoot out, has very, very long fingers. Typically, Ray has a very different playing style because of that and favors different, neck styles and profiles than I would. And so that's just a good, kind of distinction there. But in terms of actual wood specs, because there is some significant differences, the Eastman and the Martin both are a type of spruce top and a type of rosewood. But that's a little bit where that ends. I want to, specify that with this Martin, this is not like the off-the-shelf, kind of Eric Clapton model that you typically see. This guitar, it is limited edition. There are only 461 of these guitars that were actually made in this particular kind of wood. Because of that, it is a little bit different than what you're going to see off the shelf. This is actually number 434 of 461 versions of this guitar that were made. Like I said, limited edition. Now, in terms of actual tonal wood specs, the top, like I said, is spruce, but it's Carpathian spruce, which is actually more in the family, kind of actually similar, ironically, to this Adirondack spruce. Both are a very vibrant flavor of spruce and have tons of headroom, more so than like a Sitka spruce. The other thing too is the back and sides. I think on the original, or just the off-the-shelf model of the Eric Clapton edition, the usual is an East Indian rosewood, which is actually more like what's on the Eastman. The Eastman is a Adirondack spruce top, rosewood back and sides, East Indian rosewood back and sides. Whereas on here, you can kind of see the color grain difference. This is a Madagascar rosewood, which is kind of like becoming the new, almost like Brazilian rosewood in the guitar market, as of course, we know you can't really, unless you find some private stock of Brazilian, it's a lot harder to access nowadays, especially at an affordable price point. So this has kind of become the new premium rosewood on the market these days. days. So there is that. Both have like an ebony fretboard and similar other accompaniments. They're very similar specs wise, and they sound fairly similar, at least in terms of like, you know, what you'd expect. So we're gonna find out today how this more premium model Martin is gonna handle up against my much more affordable Eastman E20OM. I will say additionally, in all these differences here, the Martin is actually older than my Eastman, because, you know, a lot of you will also say, well, maybe this is, you know, a newer run and it's you know, not had a chance to be broken in. But Ray bought this guitar, I believe he said in 09, or at least the guitar itself is an 09 build. And he's played it quite a lot, and he's also put it on the tone right, which, if you're unfamiliar, is kind of a device that sends vibrations, like a speaker, through the top wood of the guitar to keep it, you know, kind of moving when you're not playing it and while it's sitting. And so it has been broken in. This is a fairly broken in guitar. On the flip side, I bought my Eastman, I want to say, gosh, I think it was in 2021. And so I have, you know, significant less years on this guitar, but I've also played it in a significant amount. This guitar has broken in so much since when I got it, mainly just because I play, you know, a lot, and it is kind of one of my bigger players that I use during lessons with students. You know, I've got typically an average week for me about 100 students that I teach one-on-one, and probably about half of that is with this guitar. I teach both electric and acoustic, so about half of that is on this acoustic. I'm getting to the stage where I'm wearing through frets on this guitar in that amount of time, so that is something to factor in as well. So both have been fairly actually broken in, so I think it's a good time to be able to do a test, even though on paper this guitar should be even more technically broken in. But let's, without further ado, let's jump into an A/B comparison. I'm going to be jumping between both of these models, and so we'll have a really good idea on comparing them back and forth. Quick note on the microphone placement. If you're new to the channel, I placed the main microphone, the condenser microphone, about 12 inches out from the 12th fret on both of these guitars, and I'm going to be very careful to place them in exactly the same distance apart from the source. The second microphone that you will see in this video will be a ribbon microphone, and it will be over my right shoulder, about ear level, to kind of give both the ambient perspective from the condenser mic and the ribbon microphone, which will kind of capture basically the ear of player kind of experience. And then what I'll do in post is I'll pan the condenser microphone out to the left and then the ribbon microphone out to my right. And so that will give you, in my way, kind of the best kind of capture to make it sound like the guitar does in the room. You know, as someone who records a lot of material, this is a very transparent, kind of real world kind of example of what it actually sounds like in the room. So let's jump on in here and let's see how these sound. So if you watched this and you thought the guitar A was the Martin, you would be correct, which makes guitar B the Eastman, of course. I would be interested to hear in the comments below what your thoughts were. Did you like the Eastman? Did you like the Martin? How did you think the Eastman held up against the Martin? Were there things in either that you preferred over the other? Leave it down below in the comment section. A couple things that I noted, we can kind of discuss it more in the comment section as well, but one of the things that I noticed right off the bat is the Eastman was just more responsive than the Martin. Just in the room itself, playing it, there was just more resonation out of the guitar. There was more vibration up against me as I was kind of playing it. And so it definitely was a whole lot louder, just even like A-being back and forth between the takes. It did seem like the Martin, I was trying to play fairly consistently too, but the Martin seemed just a little bit quieter in terms of output. Like it just almost like hasn't either opened up enough, or it could just even be to the difference between spruce tops. So who knows? But the thing that I did appreciate about the Martin is it seemed like it was just more balanced across the whole tonal spectrum of the guitar. I did appreciate that about the Martin compared to my Eastman. But either way, I think they both sound great, and they both have some nuances that make them distinctive. I think the mids are just a little bit more present in the Eastman as well, versus the low end kind of overtones like what you'd expect with a Martin are just a little bit more present in the lower kind of section of the guitar. It's pretty cool. Guitars are great, and you can go wrong with either one. But, that being said, I think the Eastman for the money packs a huge amount of punch, compared to a onshore made Martin that costs like 3 times as much as that guitar. So it's a good time to be a guitar player. Well, thanks so much for watching and tuning in to these comparisons. It's been super fun kind of getting to shoot these two out against each other. Please do leave a comment down below. I'd love to know your thoughts. And if you have any requests for other content that I might put out as well, do make sure to like and subscribe to the channel so you can stay tuned for more upcoming content. I've got a lot of stuff planned for this year, including more shootouts, lots of tips and tricks on the guitar, things I'm working through in songwriting, all kinds of stuff. So definitely stay tuned to the channel, and I will catch you in the next one.